All right. Thank you very much, Brandon, and thanks for the opportunity to present today. It's a great time for us. We're about to embark on a 15,000 meter drill program on Saturday, and I'll take you through that. It's a very, very exciting discovery story. So really the opportunity for investors right now is to invest in a company that's already made a discovery. We now need to do the very hard job of figuring out how big that discovery is going to be. But it's a great time to get on board, and I'll take you through the story. We're obviously a focused company, exploration company based in Peru, and we have a single asset. It's a very exciting high-grade asset that that involves copper, gold, and silver, so you get exposure to all three metals. I will be making a number of forward-looking statements, so I point that out to you before we begin. So if you're thinking about investing in a junior mining company, there's really, in my view, there's really four critical things that you have to consider. You have to consider the people that you're trusting with your money. And that comes down to the management team, starting with the board and then all the way down to the people that are executing on the ground. And I'll take you through the composition of our board. We have a very, very strong technical team on the board, which in my opinion is critical for an exploration stage junior company. You also have to have very supportive shareholders, and we have a number of institutional investors, but we also have a strategic cornerstone investor in Gold Fields. They came in last year. They invested $8 million at 51 cents when we were trading at about 40 cents. And that was after doing some really extensive due diligence over about a 3-month period of time with a multidisciplinary team. They brought a large team to site. So that gives you some idea of the quality of the opportunity. If they're willing to put their money in to our company, then it's something that you should consider as well. The location of the asset or the program. We're in Peru. It's a great place to be. Peru is a mining country first and foremost, and even within Peru, we're in a particularly well located position or province, and I'll take you through that and tell you a little bit more about Peru. And then really it comes down to the asset. What's the quality of the asset? Our asset is a very focused project centered on a cluster of tourmaline breccia pipes with high-grade copper, gold, and silver. There are numerous breccia pipes in this field, and we continue to find more. We've already found a blind breccia pipe in our drilling, and we've been aggressively exploring this. So we know a lot about this already, but as I'll tell you today, we barely scratched the surface on this project, and I'll give you some of the numbers. There's over 92 targets total on the project, and we've drilled 7 breccia pipes so far, and out of those 7, 4 are strongly mineralized. So we've got a great track record with the drill rig, and we'll continue that with this next drill program. We're fully funded for this 15,000 meter program that'll start on Saturday. We have about $6.5 million in the bank, and that will take us through the culmination of that drill program. Will then lead into resource estimation studies and define the amount of mineralization and the grade that we are dealing with. So we feel that this is a project that can be fast-tracked. We're actually in an active mining district with great infrastructure, and as I'll show you, the project has so many great merits. It's the kind of project or asset that a developing company would look for to take forward. So just a little bit on our share structure. I mentioned Gold Fields, they're right at there at about 17%. Management insiders are at about 18%. We have a good, strong institutional shareholder base, and the rest is high net worth and retail. We have 93 million shares outstanding. Our market cap on Friday was right at about 60 million. Share price at 67 cents. And you can see our chart there. You know, we were definitely undervalued. We got hit pretty hard during the COVID-19 onset in March, but we've recovered, and getting a long-awaited drill permit to give us access to a new part of the property certainly rekindled interest, and you can see the run in the stock price. But by no means are we overvalued now. It's still a great price point to get involved in this story because we haven't even put out a resource yet. And usually when you put a resource out, you draw a line in the sand and it gives you a different playing field and a different basis to be valued against. So we think it's a great time to invest. Our management team, 3 of the 5 directors are geologists, and the 3 of us are shown there. Our chairman is a gentleman named Doug Kerwin. Doug is a world-renowned economic geologist, Australian based originally in his early career. He's worked all over the world, a very impressive track record. And Doug is an expert in these tourmaline breccia type of deposits. And so we rely heavily on Doug's expertise in setting our strategy and also in pursuing the exploration. John Black is also a director. John's the CEO of Regulus and Aldebaran. John was previously the CEO of Antares, which made the porphyry discovery sitting beneath a small copper oxide resource at the Jaquira deposit in southern Peru. And John and his team successfully divested that asset for $657 million back in 2011. So John's already done what we're hoping to do in this company, which is to take an unrecognized or underappreciated asset, do the technical work, do the aggressive exploration, develop the discovery into an asset that can be developed and divest that asset at some point in the future. Now let's move on and talk about Peru. Peru is a great place to be located because it is a mining country and it has a very long, rich history in mining. And with that comes a skilled labor pool in Peru. There are outstanding open pit and underground miners in Peru, very experienced. You can see the number of deposits. A lot of those deposits are world-class deposits all up and down the Andean Cordillera of Peru. We're located just south of the Piurina mine and west of the Antamina mine. Antamina is the largest mine in Peru. Both of those deposits are within the Ancash province where we're located. And because of the success of the mine development in that province, the infrastructure is second to none. And I'm talking great highway networks, support. There's a town of Huaraz, which is not far away, that has a lot of support, mining industry support. There's plentiful, cheap electricity in Peru, thanks to their hydroelectric network, and that supplies a lot of the energy in many of the mine sites. There's plentiful water. Water is not a problem in Peru in terms of supply. So it has many of the great attributes of setting a project up to be successful that you look for. The jurisdiction of Peru, just a few facts on it. They're the second largest copper producer and silver producer in the world. They're the largest gold producer in Latin America, and they're the 5th largest destination for exploration expenditures globally, behind some very impressive first world countries. You see there Canada, Australia, of course. Chile has had a phenomenal track record of discovery and putting mines into production. So Peru is right in the mix with the major mining enterprises in countries in the world. Mining is a very important part of Peru's economy, and even never more so than right now. Mining is being relied upon as the catalyst to restart the economy while the COVID-19 pandemic is playing out. And you can see the contribution that mining makes to the total GDP. It's very impressive. There's a number of high-profile, large-scale projects planned in development or expansion. So a lot of money being spent in Peru developing these assets. Now, one of the reasons you might be interested in investing in Chakana Copper is to get exposure to copper. And copper is a metal that's used extensively in industrialization. It's the backbone of countries' infrastructure. And there is a looming supply gap. And this supply gap has been studied and published by a number of different research groups. And you can see a couple of graphs there on the right that show the supply gap. The demand is increasing, and the supply is decreasing. And there's a lot of reasons for that decreasing supply, in part because mines are going out of production. The grade profile, a lot of these long-running operating mines is decreasing. There's lots of supply disruptions that have plagued the industry over the last decade, and we're even seeing that now during COVID-19. So that's the kind of backdrop on the production side. On the exploration side, companies have not been investing at the rate that they should be investing in order to replenish the mines that are going out of production. So the new mines, the new projects, the new development projects are not keeping up with the mines that are going out of production, and therein lies the supply gap. Now, as an additional extension of this, and that's not even included in those graphs on the right, it's what's happening with all the clean energy, electric vehicles, the global urbanization initiatives that are running very, very strong. And so when you think about that, I mean, copper is one of the fundamental metals that's going to benefit from green energy systems and the distribution systems. It's going to be a critical part in ramping up the capability of countries to go to electric vehicle fleets. So copper has a very, very promising future for sure. But in addition to copper, when you invest in our company, you also get exposure to gold and silver. And I'm not talking about trivial byproduct type of credits. I'm talking about the kind of grades that many operating mines in the world operate under just based on that single element alone. So I'm going to take you through the story and tell you a little bit about the grades and what exposure you'll have in investing with us. I would be remiss if I didn't mention something about COVID-19. It has had a devastating impact on Peru. Peru was very aggressive early on in shutting down and going into lockdown and quarantine on March 15th. Their COVID numbers continue to increase. The country is doing what it can to contain the virus, but in many of the high density locations within the country, they're having some very significant infection rates. We're fortunate that the province that we work in has had very low infection rates, and that's one of the reasons why we're moving forward with our drill program. We think we can do that safely to ourselves and to the local communities. We've studied the problem. We've worked very hard with our contractors, and we believe that we can initiate this drill program and successfully execute it. We have been very active in contributing to the local communities with medical supplies ourselves and with our partner, our shareholder Goldfields, and that has made a big difference in the local communities and the families that are involved in our project. So I'll move on now and talk about the project itself. The map on the right shows our land position. It's just over 3,000 hectares, and the color scheme used there shows the underlying property owners. And the initial transaction that we did agreement was with Chakana Resources in the blue area. And if you've ever heard about the Soledad project before, it was based on that blue area. We immediately recognized that the geologic potential of the project was much larger than that position, and we expanded it. We acquired the land shown in pink, which brought a number of additional breccia pipes into the story. And then we did a deal with Barrick on the 3 concessions on the south shown in green, thereby tripling the land position and bringing a lot more of the geologic opportunity to the shareholders. Our project is based on a dense cluster of tourmaline breccia pipes. You can see the breccia pipes are shown in circles there. The only difference between green and red, green are the ones that we've drilled, and red are the ones that we have not drilled yet. The stars represent areas where we believe blind breccia pipe exists, and that's based on the surface alteration and the surface features we see. We don't see the breccia pipe, but we know that when you're close to a breccia pipe, you see these types of features that we've mapped at surface. So we think there's potential for 40 or 50 breccia pipes. There are tourmaline breccia districts that have hundreds of breccia pipes, over 400 at Copper Creek, multiple districts in Chile. And some of the largest and most productive breccia pipes are in their Los Bronces, Rio Blanco district in Chile, and half of the copper resources in that entire district are hosted in tourmaline breccia. So they can be very, very important mineral systems. I'll talk a little bit about the grades of the different breccia pipes, but breccia pipe 1 is the one that we've drilled the most. We have 52 drill holes in that breccia pipe. Copper equivalent grade of 2.9% copper or 4.4 grams gold for all the mineralized breccia in the breccia pipe that's been drilled to date. And that's based on much lower metal prices than we have today. So considerable grade upside. I'll talk about the upside potential. Multiple blind breccia pipes, breccia pipes at surface, blind breccia pipes already been discovered. The vertical extent, we've never seen the bottom of a breccia pipe yet. It's possible that these breccia pipes will coalesce at depth to a much larger breccia system, and we always have the potential of a mineralized intrusion sitting beneath these breccia pipes. There's an intrusive body at depth driving these breccia pipes. That's not questioned at all. That's how these breccia pipes form. It's a question of whether or not that's a mineralized porphyry. Some of our experts believe that that is the case, and others do not agree. So there's a little bit of controversy and debate about that, and I'll touch on that a little bit later. Now, this is just looking at the north half of the property. It doesn't show the southern half where there's multiple other breccias that have been found at surface. Again, the red circles represent the breccia pipes. The red ones are the ones that we've drilled. The green ones are the ones that we're going to drill starting on Saturday. We're going to start with Paloma East, PE, and then move to Paloma West, and then we're going to move to the Huancarama breccia complex. Note that there's an operating lead zinc silver mine immediately to the east. Again, I mentioned we're in an active mining district, which is great for infrastructure. It's also great because the communities in this region have been part of the mining industry for a very, very long time. They benefit from mining in terms of jobs and investment in the local communities. And we certainly have worked hard to continue that tradition of helping the local communities in and around our project. You also notice that the elevation relief is about 500 meters, which is going up the hill, and you can see the breccia pipes are located at different elevations. That's a great aspect for mining. It means that you can drive adits into the side of the hill to access the breccia pipes. There's the potential to connect multiple breccia pipes with underground mining infrastructure. The mineability of these projects are really quite exceptional, and I'll talk more about that when I get to the end part of the presentation. Now, I'm going to take you into a video now. We're going to zoom in, and we're going to see the 3D models that have been developed in Leapfrog from our drilling. And you'll get a sense of the vertical extensive nature of these breccia pipes. You can see all the drill roads are already on the project. These are several different breccia pipes. This is breccia pipe 1, and you'll notice there's 2 pipes. There's one pipe that comes to surface, and there's a blind pipe that was discovered through our drilling. And if there's one blind breccia pipe, well, then there's obviously going to be more blind breccia pipes. And we've used geophysics and a number of different techniques to help us find out where these blind breccia pipes are. We're showing the grades here. Magenta, sorry, my window is covering up the scale, but you can see the scale in the upper right. That's gold, and then we're showing copper and silver. And I can tell you the maximum gold grade we've hit in this breccia pipe is 42 grams. The maximum copper grade we've hit is 17.8%, and the maximum silver grade is 3.3 kilograms. So really, really exceptional zones within these breccia pipes that have very, very high grades. But we have average grades that are considered high grade as well in terms of the way many people look at metal endowment in these types of systems. So continuing on, I mentioned that we had 4 of the 7 breccia pipes were strongly mineralized, and it's really helpful now that you've seen what these breccia pipes look like. I guess I should also point out in that last video, we've never seen the bottom of a breccia pipe. The breccia pipes in the models are shown as they're just flat surfaces because we've drilled out of the breccia pipe. The mineralization continued to the bottom of the breccia pipe, and we've never seen the bottom of the breccia pipe yet. So it's an ongoing story. hurry. And, that's what a lot of our drilling is going to be dedicated towards, is finding more mineralized breccia pipes and extending breccia mineralization to depth. But you can see the grade profile on the 4 mineralized breccia pipes that I've mentioned. Breccia pipe 1 commonly has gold grades running in the 1 to 2, 3, 4 grams. And that's the grade profile of many of the world's operating gold mines, just on gold alone. And then you look across and you see, well, we've got 60 grams of silver going with it, and we've got around 1% copper going with it. So that's why we're so excited about this. You get exposure to copper, but you also get exposure to some very exceptional gold and silver grades. Now let's take a look at in more detail the geometry, the fact that these breccia pipes are getting bigger at depth, and we've demonstrated that in 3 of the 4 breccia pipes where we've done extensive drilling. You can see on the left is the kind of the 3D perspective view of breccia pipe 1 with the breccia pipe that comes to surface and the blind breccia pipe off to the left. The map on the right of that is a plan view map. So we're kind of looking at a flat section at an elevation below surface. And you can see that the blue feature, the blue shape on the left side at 60 meters depth has got a surface area of 2,600 meters. If you go up another 100 meters below that, you've gone up to 5,400 meters. So we've almost doubled the size of the breccia pipe in 100 meters. And that fundamentally has to do with the way these breccia pipes form. It's a very technical explanation, but it is a characteristic of tourmaline breccia pipes, and one that we've been able to document in our drilling. Look at the breccia textures on the right. Breccia is simply a word that means it's a broken rock. It's a rock that's made up of fragments of other rocks. And you can see the class in the both of the photos. In the left, the mineralization sits in the matrix of the breccia, where in between the class. On the right, we see a very intense form of mineralization where the clasts are being completely replaced by sulfide. So sulfide replacing silicate mineralogy, and that's all chalcopyrite. That's our dominant copper mineral you see. You can see the copper grades there, almost 7% on the core piece on the left and 4.4% on the right, with some very, very high silver grades. Relatively low gold grades in this case, but I'm going to show you some more examples where the gold is really spectacular. I want to take you through just a very simple geologic cartoon on the left, just to demonstrate, just to talk about the geology. The breccia pipe is represented by the kind of the vertical conical shaped feature that transects or cuts all of the previous geologic units. The breccia pipes formed very late in this system. It transects all of the previous geology. We estimate that the age of mineralization here is about 14 million years, which geologically speaking is very, very young. And there's a good aspect to that, because that means that these breccia pipes are not tectonically disturbed or faulted or rotated or dismembered, and that's a good aspect for mining. There is a blind intrusion that we have not seen yet. That's the source of these breccia pipes. We don't know what depth that is, but I can tell you that in breccia pipe 6, we've drilled breccia down to 840 or 824 meters, and we haven't even seen the high temperature alteration that we would expect to see in these breccia pipe systems yet. In Chile, these tourmaline breccia pipes can be over 2 kilometers vertical extent, so we think we have quite a deep potential to continue to follow these breccia pipes at depth. And if they continue to get bigger and we see the grades that we're drilling, the upside potential of this project is really enormous. We use a variety of different techniques. On the right, geophysical techniques. You can see that the conductivity, the areas shown in red are mimicking the geology that we see and have been able to map and determine with our drilling. Vertical conductivity features on the scale of 1,600 meters shown on that diagram there. Evidence of additional blind pipes. So this is all part of our exploration strategy and our targeting. We've also used very detailed electromagnetics. It's traditionally a geophysical technique that's used for massive sulfides. And we see when the sulfide content of the breccia pipe is high enough, it kicks off this method It turns them into Christmas tree type of targets. You can see there the bullseye right at breccia pipe 1, where we've done our most drilling. An undrilled target at the time was breccia 7. We put 4 drill holes into that, very strongly mineralized, and we'll go back and do additional drilling in the future. A few field photos to see what it looks like in the field. We've got breccia pipes that stick out of the ground, really obvious features. The rocks on the right show you what they look like at surface, oxidized. These generally run very high gold grades. As we go down into the deposit and look at drill core, again, in the upper part, we see a transition in the style of mineralization from strong copper mineralization in the matrix of the breccia, transitioning into a complete replacement of the rock. It's completely blitzing the rock and replacing all the matrix and the class. Now, this is the exciting, really super exciting part of this project. If you look at the 2 core boxes at the bottom, this is mineralization outside the breccia pipes. And everything I've told you so far has been, we're focused on the breccia pipes themselves, which is exactly what our strategy is. But occasionally we drill a hole a little bit further out from the breccia pipe, and sometimes we see some really spectacular mineralization. On the left, intrusive rock, pre-mineral intrusive rock replaced by sulfides. Again, look at the grades there. 4.9 meters with 2.7 grams gold, 2.26 copper, and 1,100 grams of silver. On the right, we even get zones of massive sulfide. Again, very, very high grades, 4.6 gold, 5% copper, and 275 grams silver. So additional upside. We do see some very interesting veins in the district. I won't dwell on this, but it tells us that there's something driving this system. These are porphyry-like veins, and this is something that, you know, we don't go out looking for this, but occasionally we see it and we're making note of it and we're putting it into our database to understand what this entire mineral system is telling us. We also have recently found in some of the drilling, deeper drilling at breccia 5, where the breccia itself is being cut by mineralized veins, and that's an exciting development. Our mineralogy is relatively straightforward. Chalcopyrite is the dominant copper mineral. We have free gold as blebs in pyrite, and also a late gold event cross-cutting all previous sulfides. We have pyrite. This is not a high sulfidation system. We don't have enargite or those types of minerals. We do have what we call intermediate sulfidation minerals, sulfur salts, and that's where a lot of the silver lies. But the mineralogy looks like it's fairly straightforward, and we're continuing to work on that. Now, our drilling program that's coming up is very exciting. We'll start on Saturday on Paloma East. You can see the multi-gram gold right at surface. It's a very well-defined breccia pipe, sticks out of the ground, as is Paloma West. Again, multi-gram gold all over the breccia, and multiple targets in between those two. So that's going to be fun to get the drill rig out. Our most exciting target that's untested to date is the Wankarama breccia complex. It's multiple breccias. We think it's actually like the fingers on a hand, and it's the potential is that these coalesce to a much larger breccia system at depth. This is 200 meters across, and again, you can see multi-gram gold right at surface. Mining aspect, we've had a number of mining engineers weigh in on this project. The mineability is exceptional. The breccia pipes are close spaced, as I've shown in the cross sections and the plan maps. And this bodes well for being able to interlink underground mining infrastructure to connect multiple breccia pipes. The potential here is to mine multiple breccia pipes at the same time, or even multiple elevations within a breccia pipe, getting your production rate ramped up and giving you the ability to process a lot more ore than mining a single pipe. The elevation helps us being able to drift in with adits or horizontal drives to intersect breccia pipes. There's a potential to do short adits to get immediate working faces while you're then developing infrastructure for the long term. Long hole stoping with sublevel mining is the mining method that the engineers seem to prefer, and it seems to be something that fits very well with these shaped deposits. So I'll just recap. Invest in the team, know the people that you're investing in. We have a very, very solid board with a very long track record of success in the mining industry. You get exposure to the current bull market in precious metals as well as a critical metal for the future in copper. So it's an exceptional opportunity. We have a great location. Our project is a stunning asset, in my opinion. And in my experience of 35 years and working in the industry, this is one of the most exciting projects I've ever worked on. Our 15,000 meter program is about to kick off on Saturday. It's fully funded, and we expect to have a mineral resource in 2021, putting all of this together with the 30,000 meters that we've already drilled. Thank you very much.
Once again, appreciate it. I love seeing all of these executives like yourself really going through these. I think it helps a lot of people. And we've had a good amount of questions come in as well. So we've got some time to turn over to there. So why don't we do that now? We'll start off with the first question here. It's from Jason Sanders. It says, will the planned or current drill program try to test a very deep hole to try to find the bottom of the breccia pipes and or try to find a potentially larger feeder system below? Great question.
Yeah, our plan right now is not to do that. And the reason is this. Every time we drill a breccia pipe, we learn something else about the mineral system. And you have to think about, to be successful in exploration, you have to approach it from a systems kind of standpoint. You have to understand the entire system. And that's what a previous explorer did. They went in and tried to drill straight down the breccia pipes and try to intersect the porphyry with very little understanding of the zoning in the district, very little understanding of the geometries they were dealing with and the depth extent and the alteration as you go deeper. We are paying very close attention to that. I think we've drilled some 900-meter holes. We've had some very deep breccia intercepts, but we know that what's going to support an early mine life here is developing the resources in the top, 300, 400-meter depth extent. Also, it's more economical to drill deep holes from depth, right? So Peru does allow you to get a permit to drill from underground platforms, and our view is we're much better off getting underground platforms built, at about the 400-meter depth level in a breccia pipe, so we can define resources up and down from there, and that's a better platform to sink some deep holes. The porphyry potential is, in my opinion, is there, but we need a lot more information to understand what how to vector towards where those intrusions are potentially located. We are doing some of that work in the background now, but it's certainly not ready yet to be drilling some deep holes.
Absolutely. Well, we'll move on because we've got quite a few here, actually. Tom asks, what's the drill season? Can you drill all year long in Peru?
Yeah, and that is something that's really important for investors. The first drill program we had on this project, we drilled for 14 months straight. So you can drill year round in Peru. There are some places before I joined and started Chakana Copper, I was working for MMG at Las Bambas, and Las Bambas has a very intense rainy season where thunder and lightning, or the lightning hazard is a real problem. We used to have shutdowns every day at Las Bambas for 2 to 3 hours. We don't have that here. I mean, we do get rain, but we just run right through it. We're not in a remote location. We have great access, and the lightning hazard or risk is minimal. So we've been able to drill right through that.
Perfect. And then Bobby asks, when are the results coming from the drill program that you're currently doing?
Well, we'll start drilling on Saturday. It takes, we get about 1,700 meters of production per drill rig per month, which, that translates into 3 or 4 drill holes. We do expect that's going to drop off a little bit. We know that the COVID-19 work protocols that we're putting in place will have an impact on production, but still, we have a really good track record of good drill production. The rock here drills really, really well, and our drilling contractor has been exceptional in getting good production, way better than previous drill contractors. So we're extremely happy with them. But we'll get, the drill core out, it has to be logged, photographed, sampled, and transported to Lima, and then you have to wait for the lab. But the lab is ready to receive our samples. So I'm thinking middle to late September we should start seeing some drill results on the initial drill holes.
Perfect. It looks like Jason's following up his question here about those breccia pipes. Is there any geophysics testing you can use to try to find the breccia pipes that are not outcropping at surface?
Yeah, and we've done a number of things. There was already some existing geophysical data when we got onto the property. There was IP that Mariana had completed, even a previous version of that. So we have IP coverage on the north half. We've done the electromagnetic surveys that I showed the results of. Works very well on some breccia pipes, but not all breccia pipes light up, and it has to do with the total sulfide content and in the conductivity of that rock. We've also done CSAMT, and most recently we completed a very detailed ground magnetic survey, and we're in the process of interpreting that. And my experience as an exploration geologist has been to integrate multiple disciplines: geochemistry, geophysics, geology alteration studies, remote sensing, and put all of that together and try to really understand the full mineral system that you're dealing with. We have some very obvious targets, and Doug is always saying, let's just go drill the obvious targets, and he's right. These are high-grade breccia pipes sticking out of the ground, and it doesn't take rocket science to figure out where to set up the drill rig on those. But there's also potential for this district to be much, much bigger than the obvious mineralization exposed at surface, and that's why Goldfields is there, right? They came in, they're very excited about the total potential of the district. And so we're trying to do what we can, and geophysics plays a very important role in trying to figure out where the mineral system sits at depth and how to go after it.
Absolutely. And this next question, David, is from Frank. You've answered partially this answer, but the second half, no. When do you expect to do more drilling, and will you go back to the market to finance?
Well, we're fully funded right now for this 15,000 meter drill program. We've been very careful with how we've spent our money in the downturn. We've done some great work during the downturn in terms of studying what we have to date, planning, bringing in additional experts to give us different opinions and different views. But we still have $6.5 million in the bank. We just got our goods and services tax refund in Peru, so that keeps our treasury steady for the time being. Ultimately, we'll go to the market for financing, but it's not a requirement right now for this drill program or even to get to the first resource estimate.
Absolutely. We're going to keep going here to a few other questions. When is the resource estimation expected? This is from Victor.
Well, I hope that's not Victor, my geologist that's working on the project in Peru, asking that, because he should know. But no, just being facetious. Our goal is to have that by the end of first quarter in 2021. And, that's assuming we can work our way. This 15,000 meters is really critical for us to reach the resource estimate goal that we have. And assuming that we can work through that 15,000 meters and take that and put it with the 30,000 meters that we've already drilled, that will form the basis of the information that'll be used in the resource estimate. So our goal is to get that out by the end of first quarter. We know that we've missed our goals before. We had a very lengthy, drawn out permitting process that we, finally got through just a month ago, and that's opened the door to continue this drill program. But I can certainly see the pathway to getting to that resource estimate by the end of first quarter in 2021.
Absolutely appreciate that. This one is from Miko. He says, is Goldfields interested in buying and building a mine themselves?
Well, that's the reason they're there, of course. And I should point out that, Goldfields came in. We were very careful with the deal structure that we did with Goldfields. They're an investor, okay? They own 17% of the company. They do not have any future right on the asset. And that was really important to us and our shareholders, right? One of the big catalyst for our shareholders to have the incentive to get involved in an investment opportunity like this is the takeout potential. And that's what John Black and his team, Kevin Heather and the whole team that's still together and still running Regulus and Aldebaran. That's what they did with Antares, right? And they were able to take that discovery and sell that on to a developer for $650 million. For us, Goldfields came in and they brought human resources, great technical expertise. They validated the project. They brought cash, and they brought lots of really, really good ideas. And absolutely, that's why they're there. They want a seat at the table. They don't have a future right. If they want the asset, then they do have to go after it. And it's set up that it could be a competitive type of situation. But they're very excited about the breccia pipe potential that we're exploring. They also see the potential for something deeper in the district. So their views on the project are very compatible with ours, and they're a great partner to have.
Absolutely. And we're going to go back to Jason again. I have a feeling he may be a geo asking some of these questions, but it's going back to the breccia pipes. For a sense of scale, what is the approximate surface area of the pipes you have drilled to date versus the ones that still remain to be drilled? Are the blind breccia pipes, the ones not outcropping, approximately similar in dimension to the ones that run right to surface and outcrop?
Well, each breccia pipe's a little bit different, but I can tell you they come to a point, right? So the blind breccia pipe we found in drilling, it didn't come to surface. It was still 125 meters below surface. When these breccia pipes formed, they did not erupt at surface. These are not diatreme-like breccias that came up with this outward flaring type of geometry and exposed at surface. These are breccia pipes that erupted at considerable depth, maybe 3 to 4 kilometers, and they broke a column of rock vertically until they ran out of energy. And we estimate that there were still probably 1 to 2 kilometers of rock above them when they were formed. Okay, these breccia pipes are only exposed by erosion. So after formation, then 1 to 2 kilometers of the rock above was eroded off, exposing some of the breccia pipes, but not all of them. So if you look at the blind breccia pipe, I mean, it comes to a point. We drilled a hole right over the top of it. We see the alteration, but we didn't see the breccia, and we drilled beneath it and we hit the breccia. Okay, so they all come to a conical point, and then they go at depth and they get bigger as they go deeper. The example I showed, that breccia pipe at 160, breccia pipe 1 at 160 meters depth, goes from about a 40 meter diameter pipe to a 40 by 70 oval shaped pipe, and we presume continues down from there. So, and then you have Juan Carama. Juan Carama, the breccia complex is 200 meters wide to start with 5 different breccia bodies, just like the fingers of your hand, all within that 200 meters. It's possible that, at 100 or 200 meters depth, it's one large breccia body. And then it's possible that breccia body gets bigger at depth. So it's still very early days to answer a question like that. But, even the pipes that are 25 to 50 meters diameter, the mining engineers are fine with the aspect of mining those types of features. They say that there's no reason why you would not mine something like that. If it's got grade, it's going to get mined.
Absolutely. And I appreciate that detailed answer. Victor just put through another question, a follow-up to what we were speaking before, asking, do you know the approximate age of these pipes?
Yeah, I mentioned that. We think it's about 14 million years, 14.5, somewhere like that. We've dated a lot of the rocks that host the mineralization. We're waiting on some dates that will give us more definitive dates of the mineralization itself. There's very low molybdenum in this system, and there's a mineral called molybdenite that has accumulates rhenium, and rhenium is a radioactive element that can be dated radiometrically. So we will be able to get a precise date of the mineral of the breccia pipes themselves. But we think it's very similar in age to the Piorina mine, which is 35 kilometers to the north, and that's about 14.7 to 14.9. So we think that's where it's going to come in, and but we're going to define that with our research studies.
Absolutely. I believe this will be potentially the last question for today. And it's, are you planning on turning this into a mine yourself, or will you look to sell the property to a major instead?
Well, I'll tell you this, this is the kind of project that a small mining company could get involved in. All right, this is the kind of project you look for to develop as a smaller company, and I say that because it has a small footprint. It's high grade as opposed to low grade. We're not talking about a giant low grade deposit with massive capex that's required to put a mine into production. I just say that because it's the kind of project you would look for to develop yourself if you wanted to do that. But having said that, the goal of our company has been to do what John Black has done, which is to make a discovery, de-risk it in all aspects: community, environmental, resource, metallurgy, all of the different critical aspects of mining, and divest it to a company to come in and build it. And it really depends on the scale the project takes. If we keep adding tons by going at depth and finding more breccia pipes, possibly finding a mineralized intrusion, then the scale of the project could go up considerably. So I'd say it's an option for us, but our number one strategy is to divest the asset to a miner at some point in the future.
Absolutely. Well, I believe we've hit all of them that are in here. David, once again, I appreciate your time. And for all of our investors who are going through the whole presentation, really like listening and understanding and asking questions for further understanding, I appreciate your time as well. This will give us about 8 minutes or so before our next webinar is to begin. So if you need that coffee, go to the washroom, answer an email, please, by all means, feel free to do so. We'll be starting the next webinar at 12:30. But in closing remarks, David, if you'd like to give the last few words.
Well, I just encourage people to watch our progress. Obviously, we're going to have a lot of news flow starting soon once the drill rig starts. We've also got a channel sampling program that's in progress right now, and that's going to add additional information to our resource. So if you want exposure to the current bull market in gold and silver, but you also like the copper story and the long-term exposure there, take a hard look. I'm available for any questions or one-on-one meetings for today or tomorrow or any time after. I love talking to shareholders or potential investors, and it's an exciting project. It's got our team excited, and when you've been in the industry for 30-40 years and you see something like this and you get that excited about it, it's really a special opportunity.
Absolutely. Well, we'll leave it on there. David, enjoy the rest of your day today as well.
Thank you as well. Thank you for hosting us.